guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about ways to get more interviews once the season has already started. So let's just get right into it. For those of you who may not know, I'm Dr. Shaw and I am a family medicine resident. I share my tips and tricks about residency, getting into residency, being in residency. Assuming that you've watched my previous videos or you've already done it on your own, you have done your research and you have prepared adequately for the battle ahead. And the next best thing that you can do, in my opinion, is strategize the best way to go on the offense. First thing that you want to do is you want to analyze your applications and qualifications with the data that you have collected. So you want to look at, okay, this is what all the programs or the programs that I'm interested in are looking at, and this is what I have, and ideally you would want to have overlap between the two to optimize your chances of matching and not waste tons and tons of money. So for example, like if you're really not qualified for a program, you probably don't want to apply there because you're just honestly wasting a lot of money because they likely won't even see your application given the filters. The next thing I would say, now that you have a list of programs that have the greatest overlap between your qualifications and their requirements, what I would recommend doing, and this may be a little controversial because some people say do it, some people say don't. I personally think that you should reach out to programs and we're just gonna get right into that. What I would say is reaching out to programs is, in my personal opinion, a great way to try to optimize the number of eyeballs that get on your application. Sometimes, like I mentioned in my previous videos, most of the times, as I mentioned in my previous videos, you have filters that are in place, and as a result of that, people may not be seeing your file. What you want to do is you want to make sure you can maximize the number of people that see your file as possible. Again, this advice is my personal opinion. Some people may not agree with it, and that's fine. It's something that I personally did and I think worked really well for me. So I just want to help out whoever it may be useful for. Also, again, I think it's important with this advice is to kind of have a little bit of a thick skin and not take things too personally. You may have program directors or coordinators that don't reply to you, and that's happened to me tons of time, but don't take it personally. Also, in my experience of all the hundreds of programs that I reached out to, I think I've gotten one, maybe, negative response. So to me, it was worth it because either they were not going to reply to me or they were going to reply and say something that I could learn from and be useful for. So that's what I would say. So there's two main ways that people reach out to program, and we'll get into that. In general, I would say the ways to reach out to programs are email, cell phone, not cell phone. Don't do that. Email, phone, not cell phone, but phone, like the office phone, and social media. Those are three things that I would say. I primarily used email and social media. I didn't really call that much, mostly because I didn't get much benefit from it. I did try a few times at several programs, and I just felt that was really awkward. And it just, I don't know, it was just easier to email for me. But there were people that I know personally that did benefit and get like 5-6 interviews just from constantly calling programs. So results may vary. So it might work for you. It didn't work for me, but it did work for some people that I do know. So one way to keep track of all the people that you have reached out to is you want to create, again, some columns. The first one would be like the first attempt, second attempt, social media. And then I kind of don't factor LinkedIn into this, so I kind of made a separate column for LinkedIn, so you have those categories. So when it comes to the first attempt of reaching out to a program, I would make a note. Did I call them? Did I leave a voicemail? Did I email them? And that I just made a quick little note: email, call, VM for voicemail. But that way I could keep track of all the programs that I had already reached out to, and then I wouldn't have to lose my place and redo efforts at a program I had already contacted. And you want to have the second category. So I went through cycles throughout the season. So I went through all the programs once in terms of contacting them, and then my second attempt at reaching out to them. That way I could keep track of who I had contacted and how many times I had contacted them. Because it's also important not to be super annoying, so I would just say 2 attempts and then just hope for the best. The other way is social media. Social media started playing a huge role more so after the pandemic or during the pandemic when I was applying. The reason for that was because you had programs that everyone had to go virtual, and because they went virtual, it was difficult for the programs to really illustrate what their program culture was like. There was this mass joining of programs on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, and just as a way of people having an idea of what the program is like, since they couldn't visit it in person. So what I would do is I would reach out to those programs. The program account may be run by the coordinators. It could be run by residents. Ours is run by residents. So, it's another way to get in touch with people who are in the program in one way, shape, or form. So that's what I would do. I think that LinkedIn is a little different. It's not really focused on the overall program. It's more so focused on, LinkedIn is more so focused on specific people, and I primarily use LinkedIn only when there were like certain programs that I was very, very interested in, and there were certain people that I genuinely had a question to ask, and I looked them up on LinkedIn and tried to reach out to them. This might not always work because, as I found, people in medicine don't use LinkedIn as much. I guess maybe Doximity, but for whatever reason, people in medicine, they don't have an updated LinkedIn as much. So, again, that was like lower on my list of things to do, but I did do it if there were people that I really was interested in speaking with. That was kind of a variable degree of success. So if you don't have time, I wouldn't really do it. Just really minimize the people that you need to reach out to on LinkedIn. But yeah, so another way to use LinkedIn is that, here's some tricks. If you have an interview at a program, you want to learn more about what's interesting to the program director, you may want to look them up and then look on LinkedIn to see what kinds of things are they interested in. Have they published? Go on PubMed, have they published? And if they have, try to see what their area of interest is. At least, if anything, they'll give you some form of common ground or something of interest that you can talk about during your interview so you're a little bit more prepared. That's what I would also use LinkedIn for. Another way to, and I think one of the most effective ways, is conferences. So for family medicine, we have the AAFP National Conference, and you have that every year. We have a conference, the Winter Conference in Asheville. That's also there. That's a great way to meet people in academia, program directors, residents, and essentially just get to know as many people as you can to try and get your application in front of as many people as you can. Another way is to get involved with the societies at the state level. For example, like if you're in North Carolina like myself, I would recommend trying to reach out to the North Carolina chapter of the AAFP. Try to get involved in that way because, again, that involves the residents within North Carolina, and it's a good way to meet people and really show your interest within that specialty. And then when you're at these conferences, I would highly recommend and prioritize meeting as many people as possible. I will have another video regarding on the best way of tackling conferences, but just a little brief overview. I would say that when you go to a conference, be very deliberate about it. Research from beforehand who's going to be present at that conference, who's someone that you want to talk to, and what are their interests, so you have something that would be a common ground. The other thing is, after the conference, you always want to make sure that you keep in touch, have a genuine connection, try to form a genuine relationship with the people that you meet at the conference. That way it will, help you cultivate a greater network, and, it's a great way to just grow as a person in position. So I really hope that these tips and tricks work for you, and good luck. May the odds ever be in your favor. I hope you get all the interviews that you would like. Good luck.